Vanguardian 650. I voted today. I got it over with. Since today was the first day of early voting in my state, and I got it over with. In and out. I did notice though a lot of elder population that was there. By hook or by crook, they were there. Canes. I'm not making light of it. Literally, they were there like that, making that effort and exercising their civic responsibility in voting. And hey, man, I thought it was great. Like I said, it was a breeze. You had two options: the paper vote or the in my state, you had two options. The paper vote, you had the option of the electronic vote. They didn't have that many electronic machines. I mean, they had some. It wasn't really crowded. It was kind of in and out. But it was crowded, but it wasn't really like overwhelmed. It was like people were coming and going. It was just in and out like that, you know. But the people who chose to do the electronic voting, there was a little bit of a wait, and they were going by. They had the electors or whoever, the assistants and the voting electors directing you as people were finishing up their vote. And so the process went well. It was a beautiful day. It was in the 70s, and I was at a community center. So, like I said, the process is very easy if you're willing to do it. And like I said, however you want to do, they had the voting box out there, ballot box. I mean the mailing box, whatever there, if you wanted to do it that way. So they had options, and it was very easy. I got my little voting sticker as they give out and all that. But I liked it. It was a breeze for me, and I was there on some other business. But I said, man, hey man, I might as well, since I'm here, I might as well just go ahead and go ahead and get the vote over with. So I got that out the way. I don't have to worry about any longer lines. My vote went through. It wasn't rejected. I was happy about that. So did my part. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say. I did my part. Now, whether other people do theirs, who complain and talk, whatever, who is a registered voter, then that's on them. You know what I'm saying? Then the chips fall where they may. I ain't mad at them. You know what I mean? I know how it is. You get frustrated. You just say, oh, well, you know what I mean? What happens, happens. And so I'm not mad at those people, but, they procrastinate, and then the vote comes up on them. Like, you only got, a matter of days. So if you can get that done, get it done. So, like I said, my state, where I was at, in that little voting district or center where I was at, it was easy. It was wide open. It wasn't overwhelming. People weren't like, your space was, you had your space. You could move about. So it was kind of like open. It was beautiful, but got it done. But and I was just kind of taking a little tally to myself about as far as the ratio between, Caucasian, African American, Latino, Asian, because it was just a diversity of crowd in there. You know what I mean? So young demographic represented, like I said, the older citizens. It was just a even kill to me, a steady even kill of that demographic. And met some of the people that were running for like a school board as I was entering, and it was a breeze. Now parking probably was a little bit jammed up, but other than that, they had parking on the street in the neighborhood, so you could park there with no problem. And people, like I said, people was coming and going, so it's just a matter of being patient, waiting for your parking to open up. it is what it is. So I'm just looking forward to the results and see how the outcome of the vote goes, how it sways. So it seems to be a close in the polls, but that doesn't really tell you the whole story until the votes are pretty much tallied. I can't call which swing state might goes to who, but it will be an interesting night and an interesting aftermath after that. If Kamala Harris get elected, obviously she'll be the first female president of color, and so there's a lot of firsts for her. And I think it would probably be go down as if she does win, if that's a big if, an upset, so to speak, only because of the Trump effect, the MAGA effect. But Trump lately has he's been saying some controversial. Well, he has said some controversial, according to his former chief of staff, Jim Kelly, and saying that he kind of like he wanted generals similar to like Hitler had, and all stuff like that, which is crazy. And I bet I'm pretty sure Trump said it. I think this man of honor, even though he worked with Trump, you know who Trump is, but a lot of them have since left that cabinet and have said different things about Trump that we all knew, and it was like a revelation to them probably, but they took the check, so they were company men. But now that they out of his shadow, they're able to talk freely. You know what I mean? And you're getting more and more backstory in regards to Trump's administration and his cabinet. So, I mean, I'm like, the major publications, this was covered through MSNBC, I believe, the Joy Reid show, the Reid Report, and also on, mostly MSNBC, that you didn't hear any of that really being splashed on the mainstream newspapers. The Washington Post hardly mentioned it. The New York Times as well, kind of like buried. So this is the situation that we're in. This is the times that we're in. People are selective with their outrage, as always. You know what I mean? So you're supposed to be so pro Israel, but yet you're talking about you admired or you want generals like Hitler had, who were out there, systematically eliminating, committing atrocities, beyond war. It was a little extra. Well, matter of fact, a lot extra that happened, and not just the Jews. There were Africans who caught that wrath too. In a similar effect that no one wants to talk about. And the Germans was there. So, under Hitler's leadership. So, I find it interesting how people, like I said, people are selective with their outrage. And I guess Trump gets some type of grace for whatever that is. But it's just who he is, man. This is just telling you who this man is. And if you're willing to overlook or sidetrack those flaws of his, then do what you got to do. But I'm just reporting. I have no sway one way or the other. But like I said, you have to, I think, ponder it. Even on both sides, you have to ponder both candidates. This is a serious, election. This is for the presidency. So, and both candidates, I would say, are flawed tremendously. But we have to do what we have to do. If you have to weigh your decisions on your life and what benefits you, what you think the policies that would benefit you directly, and make a sound decision, and cast your vote. You know what I mean? So it's as simple as that. Actually, that's all it is. So I would say go out there and vote. You know what I mean? If you registered, exercise your right to vote. You know what I mean? So, and you can still put pressure on people even if you don't vote. I'm just saying. But at least this is your direct way of impacting your situation. You know what I'm saying? So these voting analysts, they will see the demographics and who voted and come up with some type of analytics regarding the number of Democratic black males or Hispanic males, white women, the whole nine. As far as their kind of tendency, the way the vote was and who they voted for up and down the voting chart, they come up with a scenario as to the election 2 years from now, the midterms, which is, I think, just as important because that's going to determine the current president, if who's the next president going to be situation. Because you probably have states up for grab, governorships. Definitely will have some seats that are up for grabs in the Congress and the Senate. And so that's what the midterms, that's how they get affected. And so that's why that's so important. And it comes just like that. Look at COVID. COVID 4 years ago, just like that. 4 years, half a decade almost. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving you some type of, clarity of where, how time runs. You know what I mean? So you might as well vote for someone who's going to directly affect your life, that you think is going to impact it, directly. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Things are serious out here. This war, the war in Israel, well, not Israel, in Gaza, these skirmishes around the world in the Middle East, Israel with these obviously going to defend themselves with some air attacks against Iran, and China's allegiance, who's standing behind Iran. Russia is standing behind Iran, and several other countries, nations. So you definitely don't want this. And then you have the situation in Ukraine, and then you definitely don't want this war in Gaza. Well, it's already spreading. I mean, you got Lebanon, Israel's in Lebanon, southern Lebanon border. And as I mentioned, you got Yemen. You have a lot of people coming at Israel, man. And whether you pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or whatever you stand on that issue, it's always something. There are always going to be flare-ups, whatever agreement they make. We just saw this 2 years ago with them. And we're back. You know what I'm saying? Every 2 years, there's a flare-up. You know what I mean? So, at least through my lifetime, there's always been and I get it. Everybody states a claim to that region, that land, and it's disputed territory. No matter what the UN and what the big states may say, and it's a sovereign state, but at the same time, we got people occupied, and so it's always going to be a conflict there. You know what I'm saying? So what you do want to do is kind of work on peace and work on some type of resolution, but it don't seem like it holds. It's not solid. It's always delicate. And then gunfire. You have a ceasefire, then gunfire erupts. You saw what happened last year with the hostage situation and the massacre. So there's always going to be something, man, for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a prophecy, but you just got to bless the ones who's living righteously. You know what I mean? So hope everything works out. You know, we can sit here in America and think it doesn't directly affect us, but at the end of the day, it does, monetarily and emotionally. Anytime you got people's loved ones over there in that region, and rockets and missiles and stuff being launched, it affects everyone. And both claims on both sides are making, serious accusations against one another, war atrocities and all that. You know what I mean? So as far as me as an African American, like I stated, it affects all of us emotionally, monetarily. But, at the same, my hands are tied. And that's why the vote is really even more important. Your vote is more important, because if you feel a certain way about that situation over there, then you have to vote on the people who, vote for the person that you think that's going to help resolve that. I mean, bring that situation to a quick resolution, or, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy. I draw a blank when it comes to that, because it happens so many times. There's always an agreement, then there's a gunfire, then there's violence, and then there's terror attacks, then there's airstrikes. It's always like that. You know what I mean? It's just like that. Until attitudes are changed, until leadership on both sides step up on behalf of the people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all government related and politics. But as far as the people who are being affected by that, you owe it to them to stop the violence. And that's just my spill on it. You know what I mean? Morally, just as a moral compass. That's just my spill. You know what I mean? And so people can use their voice. I use my little voice to document how I feel. I can be, I can get more education on the situation and come to a different conclusion. But right now, it just seems like this thing always flare up over and over again. And I stated the reasons. I don't know, I'm speculating, but it is what it is. Until they get leadership, real leadership, and people encourage them, putting pressure on them to end this, for a ceasefire for the people, if nothing else. Then we're gonna always have it. It's always gonna happen. So that's just it. That's just it. But I'm not mad at them. You know what I mean? You got to defend yourself, bro. You have to have the right to defend yourself. And Israel has that right, whether you agree with it or not. Now, Israel don't have the right to just, I think, commit apartheid and just, limiting people access to where they're, it's like that over there. I believe if you're a Palestinian or you're kind of like, you're definitely scrutinized. I mean, especially during a war, you're going to be looked at. If you're a citizen over there, you're going to be monitored. And I don't know how it is. It seems they always complain about, being occupied. And occupied to me is being told what to do. It's almost like you're in prison. You know what I mean? You're in this you can't move at free will. You know what I mean? So I get the gripe. I understand it. And so, like I said, you got to vote. You got to vote accordingly to your beliefs and to your moral compass. And I wish peace, prevail. You know what I mean? But it just seems like right now it's just messy, and it's bloody, and it's deadly, and it's everything war is. And that's why leadership is needed on both sides, all the way around the board. And everybody who has an interest in that needs to step up as well. Anyway, that's my time. We'll see you soon. Vanguardian 650. Peace.